What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next, thought I'd do a fun unboxing to end the year. This is the last unboxing I think I'll be doing this year, so I figured I would just go through all the boxes I have left that I haven't opened. Do a big one, start the next year off fresh, so I've got $12,000 about in books for unboxing. I've got this package here, then these two, and this big one here. So there's some awesome books in here. It'll be real fun to look through these. So stay tuned for what I think is going to be a pretty incredible unboxing. Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So like I said, I think this will be the last unboxing that I do this year, and so I figured I had been kind of saving some of these up maybe to do some specific videos for them, but decided, hey, let's do a fun one. I'll unbox all this stuff at once. Like I said, it should be about $12,000 in books. There's some really cool stuff in here, some books that I'm really excited to get, included at least one that's a keeper book. I'm sure there's a couple others in here, but I can't remember exactly everything that's in this. But yeah, some super fun books, and I just figured after this, I would start the next year off, I guess, like fresh with any new books that show up. So I'm gonna start with this box here, which is it's a deceptive box. I was surprised actually how small it was when it showed up, because I think there are 4 books in here, and usually when this I think came from Heritage. And usually they ship, when it's this many books, they ship it in a much larger package. And so, yeah, that one was a little bit of a surprise to me. Yeah, I think there's 4 books in here. And it's packed a little lighter than normal. Usually there's a lot more packing material. And there's one really expensive book in here. So I was a little surprised about that, a little nervous. I mean, the box looked okay. It's just usually they're packed a little bit more carefully. Because you can see that other box, that huge one, I think that one only has like 3 books in it. So I don't understand. I think sometimes it's like whatever box is available, maybe that's what they grab. Because I definitely get all kinds of different packaging. Like sometimes it's all bubble wrap, sometimes it's a mix of bubble wrap and peanuts, different types of bubble wrap, all that kind of stuff. So there are 4 books in here. I think it's pretty awesome books. First one is actually one that I talked about a while ago in one of my top 10 videos, and it was one of the books in that video. It was a book that I picked up. It's been sitting in a box for a while back there. I didn't have a chance to open it. And so this is Batman number 155 in a 6.0. This is the first Silver Age appearance of the Penguin. And I've always thought this is a fun cover. You've got this big bronze statue dragon that's shooting flames out at Batman and Robin. Actually talked about this book on Newbie Comics when I was on his Keys I'd still invest in, because this is one of the books I really liked. It's a book that I talked about in my Batman Undervalued Silver Age Key video. And this was the number 1 book on the list, because, for me at least, because just how it had performed compared to other Silver Age keys, and that we've got the Penguin in the next Batman movie, and they're planning on like an HBO Max series around him. I just felt like this is a really undervalued book right now. So cool book. I mean, his first appearance is super expensive. It's a Golden Age book, and this one looks pretty nice. You actually can see that it's got this little bend up there that I don't know if it would get a higher grade with any type of press. This is definitely, it's not the old case, but this is an older case. Older style case, so it's a book that maybe it's worthwhile looking at to see if it could get a bump, but I don't know. I feel like maybe it's been pressed, but yeah. Just some things on here too, if you haven't noticed. So these types of marks up here, this is what's called distributor ink. It's from the distributors. They sprayed it on the top of the books. It doesn't actually impact your grade. You can have a lot of it on there, and you can still get some pretty high grades. So don't need to worry about that. All right, now the next book here is also a Batman book, one of my favorite Batman covers, and just anytime I see this one at what to me seems like a good price, I am going to pick it up. and this one felt like a good price, so I did. And this is Batman number 251, which is this classic Joker cover. This is basically when he becomes the Joker we kind of know today, like the evil version of the Joker instead of the gangster comedy clown type Joker that he was before this. And so just classic Neil Adams cover, and in my opinion one of the best covers, especially for Joker, that's out there. And I think a lot of people agree with me, which is why this one has, you know, so much value to it in just about any grade, even though, you know, it's 1973, relatively modern. It's definitely a lower grade copy. I have a 9.0, which is one of my keeper books, but this one I just felt like it was a great price, so I decided to pick it up, because I think it's always worthwhile to go after, you know, big popular keys like that. All right, now we're gonna get into a couple bigger books. One of them, especially with some news that has broken recently, and that's this book right here, and that is Daredevil number 7. And I've actually unboxed a copy of this before. I've actually sold that copy. I had a 6.5 that I'd already sold, so this is a 7.5, an even nicer copy of that book. And yeah, it's a nice looking copy. The 6.5 was actually, it was very clean, but it had a crease just right here. It was a really nice looking copy. It just had that crease, and that's really what killed the grade. This one again looks really nice. I mean, it definitely deserves the 7.5 grade. I mean, you can tell it's a super clean looking copy. It does have what are called some printer creases on it. You can see here. They don't actually impact the grade, so that's something that's important to know if you're looking for books. Some people might think that those printer creases will impact your grade, but they will not. You can get 9/8 with printer creases on them, and they often come in. You know, you often have more than one. There's one, you know, right here, and there's another one right down here. There's sometimes on the back cover as well. You will often see them in the same spots on the back cover, but I don't see them on this one. So this one I only see them on the front. But this is the first time that Daredevil is wearing his red costume. Before that, he's wearing the yellow costume. I always think it's funny that he's fighting Submariner, because Submariner is like effectively like Superman. So it's just like, it's a stupid fight. Like there's no way Daredevil is any competition for Submariner. It's a dumb battle. But it is a cool cover. Submariner is a very hot, popular character right now because of potential with Black Panther. Daredevil is a very hot character because of Spider-Man, and with the potential for him having a bigger role in the MCU. And so that's I think a great book to have right now. And so I was real happy that I picked that one up. I think at exactly the right time. All right, now this one is one of the books that's on my keeper list. And so this is an upgrade. I have upgraded this book a few times. Now this is now the highest grade copy I have, and so I've sold off the lower grade copies as I've got this one. I've already sold off the lower grade copies that I have of this that were on my keeper's side. And so this is X-Men number 101. And this is the first appearance of the Phoenix. This is, I mean, it is one of my favorite covers of all time. I love this cover. I really like the blue and the yellow. I think it looks awesome. Awesome first appearance with Phoenix right on there. It's basically like it's reminiscent of the scene from X-Men movie as well, when she's fighting off the water and everything. And I mean, just 9.6, beautiful copy. I've had a 9. I have an 8 that I'm going to get pressed, but I think I've had a 9, a 9.2, and a 9.4 as I've upgraded, and I've sold them off now. The instant I bought this, I sold the 9.4, and so I've talked about that. That's how on Keeper's books that I have, that's how I upgrade them. You know, I'll find that book that I think is a good price, I end up picking it up, and then I sell the one below it. I don't like to sell it before I get the next copy, because then you risk something happening, like some news coming out, like, oh, all of a sudden MCU decides they're going to do Phoenix again. And so then this book explodes in price after I've sold my other copy, and now I can't upgrade without having to put a bunch more money into the book. And so that's one of the things I really like to do with these. So yeah, I love this book. It is one of my favorite ones. I really do want to try to get a 9/8 at some point, but they are, I mean, the 9/6s are really expensive, so the 9/8s are even more really expensive. So those are the first 4 books. So now next I'm gonna go for one of these. There's just a single book in these 2 boxes. I don't know which one is in which box. I know what is in each box, but I don't know which one I'm opening. So it's either going to be I think a Bronze Age book, or it's going to be a Golden Age book, and we'll see once I open it. Can't tell yet. So let's see here. All right, this is the Golden Age book. Now this is a cool one. This is one that I've wanted to own for a while, at least just to have a copy of it, because I've never had a copy of this one. So this is one that I was planning on doing a video around it, basically, and maybe I'll still do one later, but just on that. But it's about Disney keys. So Disney is something where Disney collectors, whether it's for comics or just memorabilia or anything, are very serious in the hobby. And one of the things I've talked about is if you want to get into buying and selling books, it's good to have understandings of areas that maybe aren't exactly what you like to collect, but you know other people like to collect, that are still key books, so the risk in buying them is very low, but that other people are very interested in. And so there are a lot of Disney key books out there, and this is one of them. And so this is Walt Disney's Comics and Stories number 31. And so you can see there's a little note up here, and it says, Carl Barks, Donald Duck stories begin. And so that's the thing that's really important here. So this is the first time that Carl Barks is doing the art for Donald Duck, doing the cover for Donald Duck in this run. So in the Walt Disney's Comics and Stories, which is a very long-running run for Disney. And so that's very important for this. He is basically the person that's responsible for the modern version of Donald Duck, the Donald Duck that basically everybody knows today. That's how that character is depicted. And this is also an important book because it's a war bonds book. It's one of the few war bonds books from this run. There are a few. Now, the first time he actually draws Donald Duck is a different book. That's 4-color number 9, which I have a very low-grade copy of that one. And so this is a 1/0 of 4-color number 9, which is this Pirate Gold story. But this is the first time that Carl Barks actually draws Donald Duck. So this is another big Disney key book. And the cool thing about this one, as you can see, this one is actually signed by Jack Hanna on the first page in pen. Now, it's not a yellow label because it wasn't witnessed. It was probably signed well before CGC existed. But I always thought that was a really cool thing with this book. Yeah, it's a low grade, but the important thing for me with books like this is that, 1, they exist, and 2, that the main picture still looks really nice. And so, yeah, there's little pieces on the edge, but it doesn't take away from it. And I think with it kind of looks like a treasure map, a pirate treasure map, which I think makes it looks really, really cool for this. But, so Carl Barks books are definitely something that if you are looking for books that other Disney collectors might be interested in, those are some of the real big books, and this is one of the biggest ones for him specifically in the Walt Disney's Comics and Stories run, issue 31. Now, one thing just to be aware of, on the cover it doesn't say issue 31. See, it says volume 3, number 7. And so each volume has 12 issues. And so volume 1 had 12 issues, volume 2 had 12 issues, basically one per month. And so then volume 3, this is the 7th issue, so it's 12 plus 12 plus 7. That's how you get to 31, because some people struggle with that on how the numbering versus what the volumes say on the front, and that's how that works. So that's the one book that's in there, which means that in this one here, there is a Bronze Age book, and this is one that I was also thinking of doing a video for, because it's related to the She-Hulk story or not story, but show that's coming out. And so I thought this would be a fun one to do, like some She-Hulk keys around. So I might still do a separate video on that, unrelated to an unboxing, but that's how was thinking of doing an unboxing tied to that with this book. And so this book, it's She-Hulk #1. It is a different book. This is Incredible Hulk #141, and it's a 9/2. It's a nice copy. This is the first appearance of Doc Samson, who was actually in the Edward Norton Hulk movie. He was the guy that was played by the guy from Modern Family, the dad from Modern Family. And so there has been talk that this character is going to be in the next She-Hulk TV show, the MCU TV show. And so that's why this book has been kind of hot lately, spiking a little bit lately. And so it's a key regardless, first appearance of Doc Samson, but also has some speculation to it tied to that show where you could potentially see some increases in the prices of this book. Now, it has been going up lately. It definitely has been going up, but that's something where if the show is successful, that's where you could potentially see even bigger increases in the prices of that book. All right, now this last one, I have no idea why this box is as big as it is. This is like the biggest, in terms of width, box I've gotten comics in, I think. So I feel like maybe like they're just out of boxes and they're just shipping them this way. Also, if you haven't noticed, I updated my wall behind me. I decided to go with like some older books because I figured it's the end of the year. You have like, what is it, Father Time and the Baby New Year thing, and so I thought I'd go with the old books back there. So I've got some of my oldest books that I have, like my key books. I have First Cheetah, the Wonder Woman #1, that Marvel Comics, Marvel Mystery #7 I picked up. The More Fun Comics 74, awesome book that I did an unboxing recently. That was it's the second appearance of Aquaman and Speedy and Green Arrow. And then that the oldest book that I have, that Detective Comics #7. It's restored, but it's Detective Comics #7. And then the last one is that Mystery Men #4, which just is it's a really cool kind of like good girl art type cover, and was the oldest book I had from 1939. All right, let's try to get into this. Okay, so there's a second smaller box inside this one. So this one is shipped very carefully. There's lots of packaging with this. And this one has peanuts and it has bubble wrap, and which I don't mind. I like getting all that stuff because I can reuse it when I ship books, and then I don't like to throw away packing material. It just feels very wasteful. And so I like to reuse that as best I can. All right. Okay, so I guess, yeah, so there's a raw book in here, it looks like. And then a couple graded books. I think, like I said, I think there were 3 books in this box. So we'll start with the graded books. I remember at least one of them, and it's a pretty big book. I haven't had a copy of this one for quite a while. I sold it maybe 2 years ago or something, and prices had gone up so much that this is an example of one of the books that when I saw prices starting to come down around the holidays, that's when I like to pick these up. And because it's just like you can often find, like I've mentioned that in a number of videos, you can often find deals around this time of year because people are buying Christmas presents and all that kind of stuff, and they're maybe not focusing on auctions and comics, and so you can get some pretty good prices on books. So the first one, I've actually also done an unboxing of this book very recently, but just another copy of it. This is Incredible Hulk #102. And so if you're not familiar with this is basically Hulk #1 for the Silver Age, like Iron Man #1, Submariner #1, those types of books, like where it's almost like the restart of their series. But for whatever reason, Hulk decided to continue from, I think it was Tales to Astonish, instead of starting over at 1, and so that's why you have these strange numbers with this one. And one of the things that really I think kind of hurts the book, because if it was a #1 like with Iron Man #1 and Submariner #1, I think this would be a much more valuable book. But cool cover, and if I can find this one at a good price, I always like to pick it up. Because I like things that are like number ones. All right, now the second book here, this is, I don't know if it's the biggest book in all of these boxes, but if it's not, it's really close. And this is a big one, and this is Amazing Spider-Man number 3. And so it's a 2.5. This is the first appearance of Doc Ock, who is basically Spider-Man's biggest villain, or one of his biggest villains, along with like Green Goblin. And so really cool book to have. I used to have a 3.5 that I sold quite a while ago. And like I said, these books have they've all gotten so expensive with just all the hype around Spider-Man, the price increases in comics in general, and just, I mean, I think it would probably be the 4th appearance of Spider-Man. I don't think he appeared anywhere between AF-15, 1, 2, and 3. He might have, but I don't think so. So probably the 4th appearance of Spider-Man, first appearance of Doc Ock, and actually, I mean, I like these lower grades that present well. I mean, it's a 2.5, but that is a solid looking 2.5. I mean, the back cover has this tear here, but even the back cover looks pretty nice. I mean, for a 2.5, I'll take that. I mean, a lot of times you'll have, either real big creases that detract from the cover, or you're going to have maybe some small pieces missing out of the cover. You don't have any of that with this one. This is a really sharp looking copy of this book for the grade. All right, now the last book here, I don't remember what this is. Oh, yes I do. Now I remember what this is. I have been buying, let's see, I think I just have 2 now. I don't think I have 3. But this is a book that I was actually kind of bad-mouthing earlier this year as the prices just got super high because I thought that they were going up way too fast. But now I think they've come down way too fast. And this is an example of, I've talked about in some of my other videos where everything went up earlier this year. You had these huge spikes and all that. And then as the summer went on, everything seemed to drop. But some books deserved to drop, some books didn't. And this is one of those books that, at least in the midterm, did not deserve to drop in price. And I'm not a huge fan of how they package this. There's not enough protection for this book. All right, so you've probably seen, I guess you could have seen me unbox one of these in a different video. I'm gonna put this one down here. And this is Avengers number 8. And so this is the first appearance of Kang, and this was a book that when Kang was revealed at the end of the last Loki episode, that book just went crazy. I mean, it like tripled in price almost overnight. And now it has come down pretty significantly because, and I've talked about this, it's like a lot of collectors will have very short memories. It's like they see the thing in the show and they're like, oh, I want that book, and they buy the book, and then they don't see the thing in the show or the movie for a little bit and the prices start to fall, but it's a character we know is coming back. We know that character's coming back probably lots of times across a lot of properties, and so is going to be a pretty central character to a lot of what's going on in the MCU, probably for the next at least 3 to 5 years. And so in the midterm, I think this is a great book to own when you have those dips. When you have those dips in prices between shows, between movies, that is the time to buy these books. Long term, I'm not a huge fan of this book. Kang wasn't all that popular before it was announced that he was going to be kind of like one of the big bads in the MCU, and he probably won't be all that popular afterwards. Now, it is Avengers 8. It's a very early Silver Age first appearance, but I don't see it maintaining that value long term. But in that midterm, I think it is a great book to buy and sell. And like I said, I have a couple copies of it now. This one, I mean, it looks really sharp. The main issue on this one is some rust migration on that top staple. But I mean, you can see, and this is just on the bag there. But you can see, I mean, this is a pretty nice looking copy. I am actually really happy with that. I'm not super happy with how it's just like kind of like loose in this bag. I'm definitely going to move it into something a little more secure. Let's see what the back looks like, because I can't remember. Yeah, I mean, back looks pretty nice too. So, see here, here's the back. Back is this is a very nice looking copy. I mean, the main thing is that rust migration, and let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you can see it. Yeah, you can see it on the staples on the interior. So that's going to be the main kind of like detractor on this book, but very nice presenting copy of this. Pretty happy with this book. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of end of the year video, opening up all the boxes that I had left, just kind of like a fun big unboxing. Real happy with the books in here. Just you know, some of the biggest ones I definitely say are like this, you know, 7.5 Daredevil 7. That's a cool book, especially with what we've got going on in the MCU. This one is probably my favorite book out of all of them, this 9.6 X-Men 101. I love this book. It's the next step in my upgrade to hopefully getting to a 9.8 at some point. And then, you know, obviously definitely this Amazing Spider-Man #3 for Doc Ock. It's just a huge book in the Spider-Man run and just, you know, just comics in general. So very happy with all of these. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. We've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here if you'd like to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video and probably the next year.